Cunningham and his Oklahoma State Cowboys coming in winners of 4 of their last 5. They're 11-4 overall, 4-4 in Big 12 play, and they control the opening tip in their black uniforms. Here's Isaac Likely in the post. Mike Boynton likes to post up his guards. They both got size, but Likely no good on that first possession. TCU using their 9th different starting lineup this season for Jamie Dixon. Inside Samuel. Off his hands. Here's R.J. Nembhard. And he can't convert. First rebound for Cunningham. Here he is in the paint. And he's off the mark. Last time these two met, it was at the start of Big 12 regular season. And TCU pulled off the 1-point upset on the road in Stillwater. 77-76, the final in that game. Chris, what does TCU like to do offensively?
Well, they play 5 out. You see it here, Rich. They really move Kevin Samuel all over the floor. Most of the time to set screens for those 2 ball-dominant guards, the 2 leading scorers for TCU, R.J. Nembhard and Mike Miles.
Nice pocket pass from Cunningham to Caleb Boone, and he gets fouled with 18:36 to go. Oklahoma State's head coach, Mike Boynton, 39 years old in his 4th season in Stillwater. A Brooklyn native, went to Bishop Loughlin High School, but he made his bones in coaching with Brad Underwood. First at Stephen F. Austin, then followed him to Oklahoma State, and when Underwood left to take the Illinois job, Oklahoma State handed the reins to Mike Boynton, and he is recreating that defensive culture that Henry Iba and Eddie Sutton certainly started decades before him.
He's done a really good job with this team. Obviously done a good job with Cunningham and Likely, but the improvement of these other guys, you know, these role players for them, Mike's done a really good job. You mentioned the lineage. You are a product of the people you played for and coached under, and Mike Boynton's certainly an example of that.
Here's P.J. Fuller. Nice pass to Samuel. Oklahoma State doesn't really have an answer for Kevin Samuel, Chris.
Well, it's early, so we'll see. But what I love about this is they hit him on the roll. You know, so often he's out there setting ball screens, and I think sometimes when he doesn't get it, he's not rolling as aggressively as he did there. And if you hit him early, you know, now he's going to come out with a little more zest to set those screens, and he'll roll hard. And when he rolls hard, that's when things start to open up for that offense.
And Chris, we just saw the basketball equivalent of Haley's Comet. Kevin Samuel hit a free throw. He's only 38% from the free throw line this year, but he completes the 3-point play, and it's the first 3 points for TCU. Cunningham in the paint again, no good.
He's open again. I mean, you got to hit him.
Instead, it's a 3-pointer.
But that's where, you know, he was wide open. They should have hit him. But that's where him rim running opens things up, and a guy that had been coming off the bench, Chuck O'Bannon, that's why he's now in the starting lineup. His ability to knock down a perimeter shot.
Yeah, had 17 against Missouri in their loss, making his 3rd consecutive start for Jamie Dixon. Here's Avery Anderson pulling from 3. Too strong, and the rebound to the Frogs. Here's Miles, number 1 in white, who Chris alluded to at the top of the show. Fuller. And the foul on the floor. That's going to go on Cunningham.
You know, we're going to talk a lot about Cade Cunningham, as Jamie Dixon mentioned to us yesterday. That was the first guy, obviously, when we asked Jamie about Oklahoma State, he mentions Cade Cunningham. But, you know, the one thing about Cade, Rich, one of the questions at the next level will be how he can defend. Can he defend that position? His ability to move his feet being a part of that question. On that last play there, really nice defensive play to stay in front.
Dixon in his 5th season with his alma mater, TCU. He was in the Southwestern Conference and a TCU Hall of Famer at that, playing for the head coach Jack Killingsworth back in the mid-'80s. Oklahoma State starting off 0 for 4 from the field. That looked like 0 for 5, but they count the bucket. So a 6-3 game, a little over 3.5 minutes gone by. TCU losers of 5 straight, but all 5, Chris, were the top 25 teams.
And they should have beat Missouri. They were up 11 with 3 minutes left in that game and had a meltdown.
Foul's going to go on Avery Anderson. TCU with a 6-3 lead, 16-18 to go. Looking at R.J. Nembhard, the leading scorer on this Horned Frogs team. We welcome you, those of you joining us from the SEC game you just watched. Missouri getting a win against Kentucky, and right now it's the TCU Horned Frogs with some hot shooting inside their home arena against Oklahoma State. They lead it 9-3 alongside Chris Spatola. I'm Rich Hollenberg. We have our first media timeout of this contest. 15:49 to go, and when we return, along with TCU and Oklahoma State, we celebrate Black History Month on ESPN. Back inside Schollmeyer Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. TCU with an early lead on Oklahoma State in Big 12 basketball on ESPN. Alongside Chris Spatola at his home in North Carolina. I'm Rich Hollenberg at my home in Florida. But in Fort Worth right now, TCU and Oklahoma State doing what everybody is and should be doing right now, celebrating Black History Month. And they do that on the shoulders of one particular man, a former TCU Horned Frog by the name of James Cash. Now Dr. James Cash. Chris, he was the first ever African-American player at TCU and in the Southwest Conference.
A phenomenal player and a better man, a brilliant man. He was taught at Harvard Business School, started there in 1976. He's now a professor emeritus there. Has lived a full life, a terrific life. And what an honor, what a tribute they are putting on today.
Yeah, when you read and learn a little bit about James Cash, you realize that basketball is pretty far down that resume of accomplishments. There's another 2 for Oklahoma State, this time by Bryce Williams, who gets in the scoring column. Mike Miles, number 1 in white, an unheralded freshman for TCU. Cade Cunningham getting all the headlines nationally. Mike Miles is going to be on that all Big 12 freshman team as well. Here are the 2 guys that we're talking about. Chris, you talked about it at the top of the telecast. Not only are they comparable in their numbers right now, but these are 2 young men that go all the way back to 3rd grade growing up playing Texas schoolyard basketball together.
And they were on the same AAU team, the Texas Titans, teammates with Rondell Walker, who's also on Oklahoma State. You know, we've talked a lot about Cade. Most folks know him by now. Mike Miles didn't come in with quite the same reputation as Cade, but he's had an unbelievable season. Really a dynamic guard, coming off a 28 the other day against Missouri. He's had a really good freshman season. Look at them, young fellas.
When we say they go way back, they go way back. That was at a Dallas Mavericks game, if you can't tell. I don't know if it was Reunion Arena that far away, but they were certainly hanging out then and playing against each other and with each other all through the years. They call each other the best of friends. I'm sure Mike Miles is celebrating right now. Yeah, that his former teammates going to the bench with 2 fouls.
The thing I've learned about Cade Cunningham, when you go back to his team at Montverde High School, and you look at that AAU team, not only was it Miles, Cade, and Rondell Walker, Greg Brown was also on that AAU team. Cade Cunningham played for bomb squads when he was in high school. Only good teams with high-level players.
No chumps allowed. There's a left hand in the paint. And a bucket by Jadon Ledee. Everyone getting in the scoring column early for Jamie Dixon's TCU Horned Frogs. 13-5, 6 minutes gone by in the first half. Boone, no, off the window. Moncrief gets it back, and a strong take, he gets fouled. Chris, how does this Oklahoma State offense change now that Cade Cunningham's on the bench?
Well, and the good thing, Rich, not good thing, you want Cade on the floor, but remember, they played 2 games without him while he was out with COVID or going through the COVID protocols. So they are comfortable doing that. They are used to doing that. The thing in this game, they got to start defending better. You know, the offense will come. They got to defend here.
Remind you that tomorrow night, number 7 Ohio State taking on number 8 Luka Garza and Iowa. Big Ten battle. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern from Carver Hawkeye Arena on ESPN and the ESPN app. A lot of debate over which conference is better, the Big 12 or the Big 10. I could say this: the Big 10 is crazier than the Big 12.
Like mentally, or just
well, I mean, you look at teams like Rutgers, everybody's all over Rutgers, and then they lose 3 straight. And then people are saying Iowa's a Final Four team, and then they lose a couple in a row. There is a certain degree of cannibalism in every conference, I get it. But it just seems like you can't quite peg who the teams are that are going to be the real contenders. Maybe that has to do with the fact that there's a lot more teams in the Big 10 than the Big 12. Big 3 right there from Mike Miles. Errant pass by Likely, picked off by Miles. You hear Jamie Dixon yelling out horns. What does that mean?
You saw those two big guys come out and set that ball screen right there on the elbows.
Likely swallowed up by Nembhard. Transition defense for the Frogs.
Can't come in here soft today. RJ Nembhard sending a message back to Isaac Likely. And I like the transition D. I mean, that was one of those things coming into this game. Oklahoma State in the top 50 in the country in tempo. They want to run. And Isaac Likely, when he gets going in transition downhill, you see that body. He's so well built. He's such a good finisher.
Likely goes 1 for 2. So it's a 2-possession ball game. TCU up 16-10 as Kevin Samuel, the big man for Jamie Dixon, checks back in. Already 5 different scorers for TCU. Balanced attack to take this 6-point lead 8 minutes in. There's freshman Taryn Todd. Off to the right, offensive rebound, Samuel, and he's met by Caleb Boone. We have a timeout on the floor, a tight one in Fort Worth. Exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and by Burger King. $1 your way, only at Burger King. And Mike Boynton looks young now at 39 years old. He looks like a baby as an assistant coach for Brad Underwood. First at Stephen F. Austin, then at Oklahoma State, and now in his 4th season with the Cowboys in Stillwater. And interesting to note the towel on Mike Boynton's left shoulder. That's something he's worn from game 1. That is in honor of the late John Thompson, and it rings even truer on a day like today when we are not only celebrating Black History Month, but we're also talking about all those people who have influenced college basketball who are from the African-American culture. And it brings to mind someone like John Chaney, who just passed away last week, Chris, and I know you think very highly of Coach Chaney.
Yeah, no question. We've lost 2 Goliaths who all, in the coaching fraternity in college basketball, who also happen to be African-American, in John Thompson and John Chaney. It's tough, and those guys obviously were taking up causes back when it was not as popular. It was not as accepted as it is perhaps now. But guys like Mike Boynton and others taking up that mantle, and I've said this before on air, Mike Boynton, at the very heart of it, Mike Boynton is a good man. And every time we're around him, I learn something. He's done a really good job with his group this year.
And defense leading to offense. That's Bryce Williams with the throwdown.
And turnovers have been an issue for TCU, Rich. One of the reasons they played so well against Missouri, they only had 8 turnovers. But in the 4 games before that, they were averaging about 20.
Yeah, TCU's a team that has more turnovers than assists.
And this is the problem, especially against an Oklahoma State team that has been slow out of the gate here offensively. You give them a run out, and you give Bryce Williams a run out. One of those guys I'm calling the 9-point per game brigade. They've got 5 guys averaging almost double figures. Caleb Boone, Matthew Alexander-Moncrief, Bryce Williams, Rondell Walker, and Avery Anderson, all of them on the cusp of double figures, all of them averaging more points per game in conference.
You just don't see these numbers a lot.
No, you don't. And you definitely don't see them go up in conference play. You know, most times scoring numbers are going to dip. For example, Cade Cunningham and Isaac Likely, both of their scoring numbers have dipped in conference play. But when you have 5 guys who've increased their scoring average in conference play, that's why this Oklahoma State team continues to get better and will continue to get better as the year moves forward.
Struggling right now, 0 assists on just 4 made field goals for Oklahoma State. They go up, they make that one. That's a tough 2 for the Cowboys. Lead is cut to 4. TCU is led from the jump, 18-14, looking to snap a 5-game losing streak. Stolen away by Likely. They've got numbers, and the foul by Mickey Pearson, who's making an appearance for Jamie Dixon.
Oklahoma State has mixed up man and zone this year, about 50-50 in terms of how much they play both. I actually think they're starting to play better in their man. And that's one of the reasons. They can get out, they can contest passing lanes. That was not a good turnover. That was not a good play by TCU. You got to be able to make an entry pass. But this Oklahoma State man-to-man defense, they have really good length. They're good athletes. It's starting to get better.
Making a little bit of a run now without Cade Cunningham. How long do you think Mike Boynton keeps Cade on the bench?
Well, you made the point. If they continue to trend well, you can obviously hold off. I would say you'd probably see him between that 4 to 6 minutes mark. Bring him back in, let him finish the half. And you always feel better about a guard, Rich. You're okay playing a guard with 2 fouls much more than you are a big guy.
Why is that?
It's more physical inside. You know, just ask a big guy. They always talk about how rough it is inside, how tough you have to be, and
This, of course, coming from a guard who scored a lot of points in his college career.
Also somebody who wanted no contact. Please, do not touch me.
Well, there's the biggest dude on the floor. That's Kevin Samuel. He's got 5 points already, and 3 of those points from the free throw line, and that's a little bit surprising. There's Cade on the bench. Samuel at the line. Missed that one. A quick 3 by Rondell Walker. He's another guy that offense has picked up.
Part of my 9-point-per-game brigade. And he is starting to really shoot it well. Was not shooting it great early in the season. He loves those transition threes, though, those shots early.
That was his 21st triple of the season.
You know, it's a good pitch ahead, and this is where he loves that sort of 45-degree angle down into the corner. He finds the line early, and a lot of times it's that guy finding him. Loving it from the bench, though.
I don't mean to damn him with faint praise, but it is nice to see Cade engaged, active on the bench, cheering on his teammates.
No question. And his character is one of his, you know, we talk about all the attributes for NBA and all that. His character is one of those.
Avery Anderson can't get it to go. Oklahoma State in the midst of a 9-0 run to take a 1-point lead. Samuel misses the dunk, had it blocked. Likely got it. The float game from Ice Likely. And a timeout taken by TCU.
Oklahoma State has changed this game with their defense. How about that block right there? My goodness, Bryce Williams. But they have changed this game, Rich, with their defense, and it has gotten them out into the open floor. And when Oklahoma State can score easily in transition, they are tough to deal with.
That 3 ball off the mark. Miles wants to run. Takes it himself. But he comes up empty. Oklahoma State has numbers, but Samuel erases that attempt. Kevin Samuel had 7 blocks the last time these two teams met.
Yeah, and it's weird because he hasn't had a block in their last 3 games. And so you wonder how that, for a guy of his size at 6'11", how you could go 3 games without having a block shot. But he's been active early here, and I think part of it is he's seen the ball go through the basket on the offensive end.
Walker fading away on that 3, no good. Coming up on 8 minutes to go in the first half. Nembhard gives it up to O'Bannon, who gives it back to RJ. They give it to Samuel, who gives it back, and PJ Fuller can't pay it off. Here's Moncrief from the elbow, in and out. O'Bannon knocks it down. Avery Anderson, shot fake, 2-pointer goes. First points for Avery Anderson.
You know, it warms my heart that the last 2 baskets were made after a shot fake. The shot fake, underused these days, but look how effective it can be still.
Especially from Avery Anderson, who's shooting 44% from beyond the arc. Instead, decided to go with the mid-range. There's a pretty floater by Nembhard. Nembhard, also a member of this Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. chock full of Big 12 talent. There's a whistle on the floor that stops play with 6:10 to go. When we come back, we'll hear from NBA draft analyst Mike Schmitz. He's in the building tonight, and he's watching that man. Big 12 basketball on ESPN, and it's a tight one from Fort Worth, Texas. Oklahoma State on the road with a 1-point lead over TCU. Rich Hollenberg, Chris Spatola on the call, and we're thrilled to welcome someone who has boots on the ground right now inside Ed and Ray Schollmeyer Arena. That's NBA draft analyst Mike Schmitz. Mike, thanks for joining us, and obviously it goes without saying one of, if not the first, second, and third person you're watching tonight is Cade Cunningham. He is the fairly consensus #1 pick in the NBA draft coming up in June. So what makes all these NBA front offices drool over someone like Cade Cunningham?
Well, first off, it's only fitting that you travel out here and he's sitting on the bench with 0 points and 2 fouls. But, you know, he's one of the most complete prospects that I've ever evaluated. Really, from a skill perspective, he has very few holes in his game. I mean, he has positional size at 6'8", 220 pounds, 7'2" wingspan. Really the measurables of a Kawhi Leonard, of a Rudy Gay, a Jason Tatum type. But he can play the point guard spot. He plays really 1 through 4 on both ends of the floor. He's an incredible passer. Really the biggest question with him coming into the season was his shooting, and his shot looks just fine. He's making shots off the dribble, shooting 82% from the free throw line, 38% from 3. So I think he has as high of a floor as a #1 prospect that I can remember. Now, he's not really a run and jump type of athlete. Looks a little bit slow with the ball at times, but, you know, he checks pretty much every other box.
Mike, you know, for a lot of the year, I've kind of favored Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga as a guy that I would take before Cade. I'm coming off that a little bit as we've seen more and more of Cade. But how would you compare those two guys, the terrific guard from Gonzaga and Cade Cunningham here tonight?
Yeah, Suggs has been incredibly impressive. You know, I've seen him a couple times. I just saw him against Pepperdine and St. Mary's, and his toughness, his tenacity, you know, defensively. I think Cade has superior size, superior length. I think he shoots it better. I think he's got a little bit more poise with the ball as well. But, you know, both projected top 5 picks. And, you know, we got to remember, we're also factoring in these guys before they got to college. You know, I had the opportunity to see Cade Cunningham play in Greece at the under-19 World Championships, and he played with Jalen Suggs, and he averaged almost a triple-double per 40 minutes. Tyrese Halliburton was on that team, Reggie Perry, Kyra Lewis, and Cade Cunningham was clearly the best player on the floor at all times. He's proven himself at the high school level, so this is kind of just a piece of the puzzle that scouts are looking for when they evaluate him.
Mike, we saw how COVID affected the NBA draft this season. How is it affecting evaluation of college players during this season?
Yeah, this might be the least scouted draft, at least live, that I can remember, especially in the last decade or two, just because a lot of teams are opting to stay home, you know, given the global pandemic that's obviously going on. And then, you know, with the rules in the league, presidents, general managers, if they were to even fly in private to a game like this, they would have to get 6 consecutive negative COVID test results to re-enter their team bubble. So a lot of those high-level executives haven't really seen these prospects yet, and they usually get a look at them at McDonald's All-American Tournament, at the Nike Hoop Summit week, and all those events were canceled. So like I said, they're going to be relying a lot on film, intel, and their regional scouts this season.
And relying a lot on you, Mike Schmitz, who is the eyes and ears of so many in the NBA right now. We want to thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the game, and hopefully, for all of our sakes, Cade gets back on the floor and shows everybody what he can do. Mike Schmitz, NBA draft analyst, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We got a timeout on the floor. Mike Miles got his 7th point of the night, and TCU has the 1-point lead. Thanks, KC. Alongside Chris Spatola, I'm Rich Hollenberg. It's a tie ball game right now. The first tie of the night between TCU and Oklahoma State. And interesting to note that Cade Cunningham, with 3:39, is back on the floor. Chris, Oklahoma State actually did better when he was on the bench, saddled with those 2 early fouls.
Yeah, look, it's a team that played without him for a couple games while he was out with COVID. So, their defense turned up. You know, I don't think they started this game the way Mike Boynton would want them defensively. The turnovers and then scoring off of those like this has helped.
Good ball movement by the Cowboys, and it results in a corner 3. Farron Flavors getting in the game. The ice cream man from beyond the arc. Farron Flavors knocked down a 3 before we went to that quick 30-second timeout to give Oklahoma State a 32-28 lead.
This is a TCU team that in conference play has more turnovers than assists. That is not a recipe for success. And that's what changed this game. They got off to a lead early and then started turning it over, and Oklahoma State can kill you if you hand them the basketball.
Here's Nembhard. Another bucket for R.J. Nembhard, and he's a pro prospect too.
And it's interesting, Oklahoma State's had, I think, more success in their man defense, but Mike Boynton continued to change it up, give different looks.
Loose ball, and on the possession arrow, it's going to be Cowboys basketball. Bryce Williams a little slow to get up. Might have taken a shot to the chops there in the scrum for the loose ball. 2.5 to go, and Cunningham's going to trigger the inbounds. Oklahoma State coming in just outside the AP top 25. Receiving more votes than anybody not in the top 25. Rebound to Nembhard. They can take the lead again with a 3. Here's Ledee inside, comes up short. Loose ball to the Cowboys. Now Cade going downhill. Gives it up. And the foul, and M.A. Moncrief will go back to the free throw line.
You know, you essentially have 2 point guards, Oklahoma State, in the open floor. And they're your 2 leading rebounders. Cade Cunningham, Isaac Likely lead Oklahoma State in rebounding, and it's when those 2 guys corral the defensive board, you've got 2 guys who can really push.
Moncrief knocks the first one down. We have a full slate of hoops across all our networks, highlighted by UNC and Duke in a Sonic blockbuster at 6 Eastern Saturday. Then it's the border battle between number 11 Tennessee and Kentucky at Rupp Arena. Hard as it is to believe, Chris, Joe Lunardi says UNC is a last 4 bye and Duke is a next 4 out for the NCAA tournament.
Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky not making an NCAA tournament. Now that would be 2020-ish.
Yes. Miles off the mark. Oklahoma State looking to extend a 3-point lead with 1.5 minutes to go. Williams high off the window, but drew another foul. And now Mike Boynton's charges are really going downhill against this TCU defense.
Where this Oklahoma State team excels. They really do. They're much better in the half court, obviously, with Cade in the game because he can facilitate. But they have really good finishers, and they really run the floor well.
And a quiet first half for Cade. 0 for 2 from the field, just 1 rebound, no assists. But the most important thing, the Oklahoma State Cowboys have a 4-point lead. And Williams goes 1 for 2 from the stripe. Starters on the floor for Jamie Dixon. Here's Nembhard, 22 in white. Fuller. Not sure if that was a shot or a pass. Either way, it's a turnover. And Fuller recovers.
I don't know what that was either, Rich, but you made the point. A bad shot is just like a turnover.
Oklahoma State making a lot of hay with their bench. 17 bench points tonight for the Cowboys compared to just 2 for TCU. Nembhard, short. And another turnover for Oklahoma State. It's their 5th of the first half, and it results in 2 from Mike Miles.
He got his AAU teammate on him. Cade and Miles, teammates on the Texas Titans AAU team. And you saw Miles' eyes light up when he had him. He got him on skates, crossed him up. Mike Miles, aggressive on the steal here. Really nice play. And then this is back in the schoolyard. They've known each other since they were boys. Uh-oh, Mike Miles got a little barbecue chicken on his schoolyard buddy. Putting Cade on skates.
Yeah, we talk so much about Cade being a stat sheet, that now they're talking to each other about it. You know there's some friendly John going on there. But Mike Miles is stuffing the stat sheet tonight. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 dimes.
This is getting a guy on skates. And look, he says, you may be the #1 pick in the draft, but I ain't scared. And it's worth mentioning, Rich, I mean, we say all these wonderful things about Cade. He has not been good in this first half. Now, he's been on the bench most of it with foul trouble, but the time he's been out there has not been very good. He just hasn't looked himself in this first half.
Fortunately for Mike Boynton, M.A. Moncrief, among others, have been really good. Moncrief leading the team with 11 points and 8 rebounds. 4th straight game that Moncrief's in double digits. Shot clock is off. We're at 5 seconds before halftime. Miles for 3. No good. And a foul. Is that going to go on Oklahoma State and give Mike Miles 3 free throws?
You know, this is a guy, Mike Miles, did not come in with the reputation of a Cade Cunningham, but he's had an unbelievable freshman season, and he's had a lot on his shoulders because this team can really struggle to score. He and R.J. Nembhard do a bulk of that scoring. He's really compact, only about 6'2", but he's 195 pounds. Really aggressive off the dribble, can get his angle, get to the basket, a tough finisher, and has a pretty consistent perimeter shot.
And as confident as a freshman could possibly be. He has got swag. Makes one of the first 2 free throws. He'll have 1 more coming. Mike Miles leads this team in free throw shooting at 81%. Leads them in three-point field goal percentage at 44. And in three-pointers made, he's got 31, including one of them tonight. 2 for 3 for Miles to tie this game up, and a use it or lose it timeout taken by Mike Boynton. So 3 seconds left, tied at 34. Plenty of time for Mike Boynton to draw something up to get a decent look. What do you think he's going to try and do?
Most coaches have a play for this. So, you know, my guess you'll run one of these quick guards, you know, off of that foul line and allow them to dribble down and get as good a shot as they can. We've seen Mike run that in the full court in the past.
Oklahoma State living at the free throw line so far this evening. They're 10 for 16. Not a great percentage, but getting there a lot more than TCU, who's only 5 for 7 from 3. You get it to midcourt. Walker heaves, and it's no good. And we are deadlocked at 34 apiece. A quiet first half for Cade Cunningham, but his best friend Mike Miles lit it up. 11 points and 4 for 8 from the field. We're back with more of the Big 12 on ESPN from Fort Worth, Texas, on the campus of TCU. It's a tie game between the Cowboys and the Horned Frogs and Chris Spatola. We did not see the Cade Cunningham that we're used to seeing in the first half.
No, he missed some early shots. And then he got into foul trouble and didn't play most of the half. And even when he came back in, he just didn't seem to have, life to him. And then this guy, the other freshman, Mike Miles, was outstanding. 11 points and did it in a number of ways. Knocking down perimeter shots, being active on the offensive glass. He was terrific defensively. And then driving the ball to the basket. We saw this play at the end of the half where he crosses Cade up. Now, Cade had 2 fouls, so he didn't really want to foul. But you could tell he didn't want a piece of Miles either. Miles really feeling it there in that first half.
Mike Miles, number 1 for TCU, scoring 8 of the last 10 points for the Horned Frogs. We're knotted up at 34. Miles with the ball. TCU trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. All 5 losses coming to top 25 teams. Oklahoma State knocking on that top 25 door. They need a win tonight if they want to push through and get that ranking. Cade Cunningham, number 2 in the black uniform for the Cowboys, on the floor with the ball with 2 fouls. Bounce pass.
They use the glass.
Can't cash it in, yeah. Here's a lob,
nice.
And an easy 2 for Kevin Samuel.
That's been my thing. They hit him on a roll to start the game. You got to hit him. You got to give my man a carrot every once in a while. Throwing the ball at that size.
Cunningham aggressive.
If you don't hit him, you'll see it by the end of the game. He stops rolling as hard. But when you show that you're going to throw it to him, he'll roll. And this is what really screws up the defense. Isaac Likely is supposed to be the tag guy, taking the roll behind it. And he just didn't see Samuel as a threat. A good pass and a good finish by the 6'11 Samuel.
Samuel with no double-digit scoring games in his last 6, but he has 7 tonight. And now Cade Cunningham in the scoring column. 1:15 into the second half. But as we've seen, Chris, and we've seen it firsthand, he's a much better player second half than he is first half.
Much better. He's even better in the last 5 minutes than he is at any other point in the game.
Why do you think that is?
I think he becomes more aggressive. And, I know he wants to get other guys involved. If I were his coach, I'd say, hey, man, what you do in the last 5, feel free to do that in the first 5 or at any other point in the game.
That's a nice 2 drive in the lane is Avery Anderson.
No, hey, stay up, hey, stay up. He's coming. He's coming, hey. He's coming.
Nembhard, 22 in white. It's one of the top scoring backcourts in the Big 12. Nembhard and Miles. Here's RJ from the wing, short. And O'Bannon tracks it down. 10 on the shot clock for the Frogs. Miles blocked from behind. Here comes Anderson. And a traveling violation called on Avery Anderson III.
And he's barking at Moncrief. I don't know what he would be saying to Moncrief. If you're Anderson, you could either drag that down to the wing or just pull it back out. If there's nothing there, the one thing you can't do is travel.
That's the 6th turnover for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They lead by 2.5 minutes into the second half. O'Bannon, a challenge 3 and a foul on the play.
And that's 2 3-point shooters. They fouled, 1 to end the half. And then that one right there, not smart. O'Bannon, the one guy you really have to contest hard because that's what he does. He's a perimeter shooter, but you certainly don't want to foul him behind the 3-point line.
So now Chuck O'Bannon looking for his 8th point, and he's got it. We have a full slate of college hoops across all our networks, highlighted by North Carolina and Duke in a Saturday Sonic blockbuster at 6 Eastern. Then the border battle between number 11 Tennessee and Kentucky at Rupp Arena. Both of these games on ESPN and the app, so you can watch from anywhere. And if I know one thing, I know you will be watching that Duke North Carolina game. You have history. We were just talking at halftime. You don't know the exact record when you were on the bench with Coach K in your Duke days, but you remember every game like it was yesterday, I'm sure.
Yes. And there were some years, Rich, where neither, well, here you go. You got a Carolina guy on Montverde. So those three guys played on Montverde, their high school teammates down there at that high school power in Florida. The one thing I know, Rich, there were some years where we weren't very good. Carolina was better. Both teams weren't necessarily good, or both teams were great. Whatever the profile, that game always delivers.
Samuel delivers with another dunk. He's got 9. Yeah, it's weird to be talking about Duke. I mean, Duke's ranked 25th right now, but they lost to Miami. They'll probably fall out of the top 25. But unranked North Carolina, 25th ranked Duke, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. Cunningham. He's been doing a lot of his work inside the painted area. Finally gets his first field goal of the night. Interestingly enough, that Duke loss to Miami earlier in the week could help Oklahoma State enter the top 25. There's Nembhard with his first 2 of the second half. He has 11. Cunningham off the mark. Out of bounds, 15:30 to go.
Kevin Samuel having a pretty good offensive night. Look at the seal here. He gets a great angle, 2 feet in the paint, and at that size, he can really finish. Kevin Samuel, send it home, big fella.
Exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken and fresh ingredients made to order. Only at Zaxby's. Juwan Howard, Kelvin Sampson, and that man, Shaka Smart. 3 African-American men, 3 African-American head coaches. All 3 have their teams in the top 10. Alongside Chris Spatola, I'm Rich Hollenberg. We're celebrating Black History Month tonight at TCU. You have Dr. James Cash being honored as well, the first African-American player in the Southwest Conference. There's Kevin Samuel, now in double digits with 11. Chance for TCU to extend their lead. It's 5 now. Samuel's been a force. Lost that one. TCU turnover. And Cade gives it right back up to his former teammate, Mike Miles.
You know, I'm impressed with TCU, Rich. This is a team, what a bad loss they had. A game they should have won against Missouri. They've had a fight tonight. You know, they've come back and really fought.
That three-pointer good by Bryce Williams. Bounce pass eludes Kevin Samuel. That's another TCU turnover.
There's the scrum, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, easy for TCU to lay down. You know, after that game, they were up 11 with 3 minutes to go against Missouri. Ended up losing that game in overtime. But they've come back here tonight. At one point, you thought Oklahoma State was going to make a run in that first half, turning TCU over. But that guy right there, Mike Miles, has been outstanding. R.J. Nembhard, those 2 guards have led the way. And this team's had a lot of fight.
And And there's an easy two, M.A. Moncrief. Miles on the bench, as is Samuel. Interesting to see how that affects Jamie Dixon's offense. Ledee, no. Easily off his hands, out of bounds. There's Mike Miles, who's getting the best of his former AAU teammate Cade Cunningham tonight. TCU with a 2-point lead, and Miles has had himself an evening. 13 points, 4 boards, 4 dimes.
He's got it going. He had 28 in the game the other day. The last 2 games, he's been really good and continuing that trend here tonight.
He scored 20 or more points 4 times his freshman campaign. Easley goes 2 for 2, giving TCU a 4-point lead. Here's Cunningham. Off the hands of Caleb Boone, who has not had the best of nights.
He has not. It's a good point. And I think the size and length and physicality of TCU has bothered him. That's a play that Oklahoma State has to complete. Cade drew the double. You got ball reversal. You got to be able to make that play.
Fuller almost throws it away. 10 on the shot clock for the Frogs. Nembhard threw it off the backboard, got it back, and has an N1 opportunity.
I mean, every 50-50 ball in this second half is TCU's. This is another one. We showed the scrum a minute ago, and here's another one. I mean, Caleb Boone has to come down with that basketball. Instead, it ends up in R.J. Nembhard's hands. They are winning the 50-50 battle, and it's leading to points.
R.J. Nembhard, who played summer pickup ball in the Metroplex area with the likes of Jalen Wilson and Drew Timme. Even former Oklahoma State Cowboy Cam McGriff got in some run. He told us earlier in the season it made him a much better ball player, and you're seeing that tonight and this season. Here's Likely, almost had a chance at a 3-point play himself. Instead, Ice Likely will go to the line and shoot 2.
You know, there aren't many fans in the building, but they're loud enough to hear an overrated chant. Now, normally I'm okay with that, but the team they're chanting it about is not even rated. What are we doing? I mean, what are we doing?
Likely off the mark. Oklahoma State 12 for 19 from the free throw line tonight. Something that hurt them in their 1-point loss to TCU earlier this season. So Likely goes 1 for 2. It's a 6-point lead for TCU. They have the ball coming up on 12 and a half to go.
And I like this from Mike Boynton. A little pressure after the foul shot just to make Miles think about you. 94 feet.
Nice backdoor cut, and Nembhard has another 2. There's that overrated chant. And they get the turnover on Cunningham.
They must be saying it about Cade. Look at this.
Largest lead of the game after that Kevin Easley layup in transition.
TCU, the harder playing team right now, and they're having some laughs about it. Mike Miles getting on his boy. TCU up 10, getting into Oklahoma State.
KC, it's Wacky Wednesday. 8 different ranked teams are playing unranked teams And already East Carolina's knocked off Houston, South Carolina's knocked off Florida, and the hits just keep coming. Pittsburgh beat Virginia Tech earlier. What's going on a Wednesday, Spatola?
It's a great question. You know, we have days like this. Normally it's an entire Saturday where the world goes upside down. It's so hard to pinpoint this year, Rich. We've seen teams come back from COVID pauses and be much better. We've seen teams come back and go in the tank. It's been so hard to figure out at times. Outside of Baylor and Gonzaga, everything else has been up for grabs.
Cunningham to Walker for three. Freshman Taryn Todd, 11 and white, getting some time at the point for Jamie Dixon. Now Miles playing off the ball. Dials it up, can't knock it down. Loose ball, Jadon Ledee.
And another 50-50 ball won by TCU that leads to points.
This is an Oklahoma State team that is 6-1 in road games. More road wins than any major conference team in basketball. But it certainly feels like they're on the ropes right now. Miles against Cunningham. We have another timeout to take. 10:52 to go. TCU 58. Oklahoma State 49.
You can't play this game in a tuxedo. Oklahoma State sleepwalking so far. Showed up for some fine dining or something. TCU's got their fatigues on, man. They are winning all these 50-50 balls. And the problem for Oklahoma State, they're leading to points. I mean, all this stuff around the basket. Kevin Samuel's been very good inside, anchoring the interior. But, I mean, just all of these going TCU's way. And on top of that, Cade Cunningham does not look good. He better get his second half shoes on here, because this has been as bad as we've seen him look. And it's starting to show on his face. His body language is not good. And his buddy, Mike Miles, is having himself a day along with R.J. Nembhard.
Both of those, Nembhard and Miles, stat sheet stuffers 4 in double digits for Jamie Dixon's Frogs. They have a 9-point lead, 58-49, coming up on 10 minutes to go. But as we've seen all season long, this is the time when Cade Cunningham starts to turn it on. He wrestles for that loose ball, and it's going to be Oklahoma State basketball on the possession arrow. Cade just 1 for 6 on this game, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. If you go only by numbers, Chris, this is easily his worst game of the year.
And Isaac Likely's been a non-factor.
Here's Cunningham working on Easley. And it's good. Maybe that gets Cade and this Cowboys team going.
Well, it looked like he had something to say to the crowd after. He's been telling me he's overrated for the last 5 minutes.
As we said at the top of this telecast, this is a sort of homecoming for Cade Cunningham, at least in the Big 12. He opened the season against UT Arlington. That's where he's from, Arlington, Texas. But Fort Worth is only 20 minutes away from Arlington.
Back cut! Back cut!
10 on the shot clock for the Horned Frog. Nembhard. And a foul's called. 9:32 to go. Mike Boynton saying, let him play. So Avery Anderson with 3 fouls. Now Bryce Williams has 3 fouls. And Jamie Dixon can't believe that's a turnover on TCU. It'll be Oklahoma State basketball. Cunningham with the ball, tries the three, and he's got it.
You went and made him angry. How could you do that, student section? You went and made him angry.
Miles can't answer, but the tip-in is good from Easley. Likely no, off the window. Six-point TCU lead with the ball. 8:45 to go. Easley, a late whistle. And it looks like that foul is going to go on Rondell Walker.
It's a good call. That's a block.
Miles to Nembhard off the inbounds. And the rebound to Walker. Here's Cade to the overrated chant again. Every time he touches the ball.
You know, this is the first time, because he doesn't show a lot of emotion. You know, you never know if he's up 10, down 10, and that's a good quality. This is the first time I've seen the competitive Cade Cunningham come out. You know, and he makes shots late, so you know it's in there, but this is where he's kind of wearing it on his face.
Back-to-back turnovers. And on the leak out, it's Moncrief with another two. He has 15. Now it's back to a two-possession ball game. TCU leads by just 4, coming up on 8 minutes to go. Samuel back on the floor, air ball on the jump hook. And it's going to be TCU basketball, 7:57 to go.
Overrated can really strike at the heart when you call somebody that. It has certainly woken up Cade Cunningham. The drive, and then he goes, what? From 3.
No matter which shade of blue you bleed.
This rivalry is the very best that college basketball has to offer.
Tar Heels freshman Day'Ron Sharpe's going to get his first taste of that rivalry coming up Saturday, but he got a taste of some great looks in his Montverde days from Cade Cunningham.
Look at this footage. I love Day'Ron Sharpe. I really do. The two bigs, Garrison Brooks has had a nice year, but the two bigs at Carolina, Armando Bacot and Day'Ron Sharpe, are outstanding. I mean, they are, and Sharpe's starting to really come on. Look at that.
That was all one team last year.
It's one team.
And interestingly enough, last week, Saturday, we did the game with Arkansas. It was a reunion between Moses Moody and Cade Cunningham. Today, we have the reunion of Cade Cunningham and Mike Miles. And whereas in that game against Arkansas, Cade Cunningham put up 21 points and the game winner, now Mike Miles is getting the best of Cade Cunningham, at least to this point.
Rich, if my child walked out there to center court to play that high school team, I'd pull my child off. You ain't doing this. This is a life ender. This will scar you forever playing against that team.
Here's Walker alone and nails it. We have a 1-point game, 7.5 to go. It's a 10-2 Pokes run. Nearly picked off by Williams. The long, beautiful catch off a beautiful pass.
And with no Caleb Boone, this smaller Oklahoma State lineup, particularly up front, and Kevin Samuel having his way.
Cunningham for three. Not that time. Samuel the rebound. See if they try to find him again. Instead, Nembhard takes it himself. Left hand off the glass from R.J. Nembhard.
That's when he's at his best. He's got a funky perimeter shot, although he's a capable shooter. But when he gets it to this point in the paint, here's this alley-oop first play. Again, that size just too much for that small front line of Oklahoma State. And then look at the look-off. Gives a little shimmy to show pass to Samuel. Gets the defense to just move a little. And what a tough finish off the glass by Nembhard there.
Big answer with back-to-back buckets for TCU, as Oklahoma State had whittled the lead to just one. Now it's TCU up by 5, 6.5 to go. It bears mentioning these two teams played at the start of Big 12 season, and TCU won it by 1 in Stillwater. Close games, no stranger to these Cowboys. 3 of their 4 losses have been by 7 points total.
Taking Cade off the ball.
Now he's got it. Checked by Nembhard. Left side, high off the glass.
And that's why you want him to be a scorer now. The last 6 minutes, he's got to be the Big 12's leading scorer. So you take him off the ball, get him moving into a catch where he hasn't taken a dribble yet.
No points in the first half. All 11 coming in the second stanza.
So he's catching this with a pivot, so he can kind of go either direction. And I like it. You'll put him at the top of the key and allow him to be a creator.
You saw some of that feel for the game, right? Putting it high off the glass over the outstretched arm of the shot blocker, Kevin Samuel. Cade.
Nice.
This time he gets the lob, and M.A. Moncrief has 17. Teams are trading haymakers at this point with 5.5 to go. So now TCU in the bonus. They'll be shooting free throws every subsequent Oklahoma State foul. It's a 1-and-1 situation for Jamie Dixon's Frogs. Generally not a good free throw shooting team. 63% as a club. And Kevin Samuel is the biggest culprit, but tonight he's 3 or 4 from the free throw line. Out of bounds, Oklahoma State basketball. Oklahoma State's last lead was 38-37 at the 17-20 mark of the second half.
You know, he can
Now
go,
Cade.
Rich, he can go both ways. He's a better finisher going to his right. And that's where he's kind of taken over here. He's getting that to his right hand. Mike Boynton has him going in that direction. And we saw the finish earlier, the pass to Moncrief, and then there he gets himself to the foul line, going to that right hand.
It feels like takeover time. Big 12 now on ESPN Plus, a must-have for Big 12 fans. The Horned Frogs square off against number 2 Baylor Saturday. Next Tuesday, number 5 Texas takes on K-State. And Tuesday, February 16th, Oklahoma State hosts Iowa State. If you're a Big 12 fan, you got to have it. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big 12 now. Lots of games, lots of good games on Big 12 now. Again, Bears repeating. continually better in the second half than in the first half all season long for Cade Cunningham. He's doing it again tonight. Now we're really in his zone. Coming up on 5 minutes to go when he's at his very best. Nembhard, yes, on the first. 19 for R.J. Nembhard. Making it even 20. 2-point TCU lead. 5 minutes to go. And that's going to be a TCU foul. Still got fouls to give, so it'll be Oklahoma State ball with 4:47 to go and put 20 on the shot clock.
Jamie Dixon shifting to his zone. Cade's penetration against the man, forcing a shift, and what a big zone killer that was. Man, from an unlikely source.
Gosh, playing his first game in a month, and he's got 2 triples, none bigger than that one. Samuel out in no man's land, trying to set a screen for Nembhard. 5 on the shot clock. Nembhard's in trouble. Samuel got it off, and the tip-in is good. Taryn Todd on the tip-in.
70% of missed shots from the side. They fall to the other side. Right on the money, Chuck O'Bannon. 1-point game, under 4 minutes.
Well, if you saw these two teams square off at the start of Big 12 season, you would not be surprised by this score right now with 3:54 to go. Why is that? Well, back in December, they met in Stillwater, and it came down to 1 possession. Then it was R.J. Nembhard hitting that clutch jumper with about 20 seconds left. The ball ended up in Cade Cunningham's hands, and he missed a contested jump shot to give TCU the upset win on the road, 77-76. Now you fast forward to tonight. TCU up again by 1 with 3:54 to go. But Cade Cunningham feeling like he's getting into that takeover mode once again, Chris.
He is, and he's wearing more emotion on himself, more than I've ever seen him all season. You could tell this game, he's not happy with how he's played up to this point. You could tell he wants this. He and that guy who made the winner in the first game, R.J. Nembhard, going to be a big part of the last 3:54 here.
Rondell Walker hits the free throw. He has 14. That brigade showing up again tonight, Chris.
Yes, they are.
Walker 2 for 2. And Oklahoma State back on top. 10 lead changes in this one. There's O'Bannon, gives it up to Ledee. 10 on the shot clock. And the foul's going to be on the floor before the shot.
You know, it's interesting, with as well as Kevin Samuel has played here tonight, he's not on the floor.
Jadon Ledee, a junior out of Houston by way of Ohio State, has 4 points tonight. First trip to the free throw line. 62% free throw shooter, knocks down the front end. Well, we have a huge battle in the Big Ten coming up tomorrow night. Number 7, Ohio State. Number 8, Iowa. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern from Carver Hawkeye on ESPN and the ESPN app. We've got a tie ball game. Under 3.5 to go. Here's Cade, and Cunningham will go to the free throw line. 12 second half points for Cade Cunningham.
And again, driving to that right hand. And he's really good with that shot fake. I mean, he's 6'8", so he can always rise up. But he's also really good at using that shot fake to induce that foul.
Ice likely looking on. You have to imagine he'll be back on the floor before long. Cunningham goes 2 for 2. And that extends the Oklahoma State lead to 2. Little offense for defense now for Mike Boynton. Flavors off, Williams on. Here's Miles. Aggressive. And he couldn't get the left-hander to go.
What a save.
What a save by Anderson. And the foul on the floor.
We'll see what happens. But that could be a game-winning save right there if you end up with points. I mean, this is brilliant. This is as heads up as it gets. He knows he's in their defensive end. If you're going to save it in those situations, save it long.
That foul on P.J. Fuller, so he's done for the night. I don't know if Avery Anderson is a Patrick Mahomes fan, but we got the big game coming up on Sunday. He looked like Pat Mahomes just now.
That was a dime.
And you're right, close games come down to 1 or 2 plays. That would be one of them. Walker's good on the first. One for 2 for Rondell Walker, a 5-point. Make that a 3-point Oklahoma State lead. 2:50 to go. A deep 3, and it goes down.
A guy who had been coming off the bench, Jamie Dixon, plugs him into the starting lineup, says we need your shooting, the spacing it creates, and he has delivered.
Cade working on Ledee. Dials up the 3 ball. $17 for Cade Cunningham. Here's another 3. O'Bannon not that time. And Williams just fell and gave it up. This time the 3 goes down from Miles.
Are you kidding me? What an exchange. I mean, Cade with the answer of all answers to put them back up 3. What a pro shot there. And look at the emotion, and then they have it. I mean, they come up. Avery Anderson makes a great play to tip that ball long. You've got 2 guys there. If you're Oklahoma State, another 50-50 ball that goes to TCU and leads to points, in this case, to tie the game.
Some fun Big 12 basketball, and when you talk about Big 12 ball, you talk about dudes who came from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. None better than these 2 right here. Best friends since 3rd grade. Cade Cunningham, Mike Miles, and they are going toe-to-toe. Haymakers.
It's cool, man. And you've seen it all night play out here. The competitiveness, the emotion, these guys have matched up. Not most of the night, but they've matched up here and there. It's been a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, it's a thin line, winning and losing. And that last play, it's a perfect example.
Under 2 minutes to go. Knotted up at 75. Here's Cunningham with the ball. Tried to force the pass, and it's picked off by TCU. Now Nembhard. Blocked by Anderson. Cunningham hangs, can't hit, but he'll go to the line.
Another big-time play by Avery Anderson. Watch this. Oh, my goodness. At 6'3", the levitation. And then on that one coming down, Rich, I've talked about Cade Cunningham going to his right hand, and he's much better in the half court doing that. But when he's got that thing coming in transition, he can get it to that left.
And how about this? Cade Cunningham, #1 in the conference in scoring at 18 a game. He's on that number again after going scoreless in the first half. There's his brother Cannon, one of Mike Boyden's assistants. And now Cade has 19 to lead all scorers for the Cowboys. Oklahoma State has 2 timeouts remaining. TCU has 1. Both teams in the double bonus, meaning 2 free throws on every subsequent foul. Possession arrow to the Horned Frogs. Miles tried the hammer pass, but ill-advised and out of bounds.
Well, they had it set up. He thought it was tipped. They had it set up. It's a really good play. And I don't know if he was trying to throw it to Chuck O'Bannon and just couldn't curl it around.
Now it's under 2 minutes. John Higgins and Tony Padilla and company, they could go to the monitor and check this out. And that is exactly what they're doing now.
You know, Terran Todd is in the corner, but I wonder if Miles is trying to get that to O'Bannon, who's the better perimeter shooter. Did you see it get tipped?
I think I did. And I don't know if you could see it from this angle, but from the angle just before that, it looked like one of the Oklahoma State defenders got a fingertip on it.
Man.
Looked like I saw Bryce Williams' left hand move when that ball went past.
It's going to be hard to overturn a call, though, with what we're looking at.
That was the look
that
right
one
there.
looks...
Yeah.
That's the look, but the question, Rich, is it enough to overturn the call? I don't know about that.
The original call was out of bounds on TCU. It would be Oklahoma State basketball. Under 2 minutes to go. Officials can review. That's what John Higgins on the left and Tony Padilla on the right are doing. That's nearly impossible to tell on that particular replay. Of course, we know what Mike Miles thinks. Yep, and John Higgins says, like Chris Spatola says, not enough to overturn. So now Oklahoma State has the ball up to 1 minute and 4 seconds to go. Looking to win their 5th game in their last 6 and possibly break through into the top 25. Here's Cunningham. Cade in the paint. Block. Good defense by Nembhard.
And they love to go to that. Cade on the block. Late game.
16-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Samuel fouled and will go to the line.
That's been there all night. That high screen and Samuel's size has loomed over this front line of Oklahoma State. And you're right, Rich, that was not a foul. Cade was looking for a foul. That was really good defense. And just too much. Kevin Samuel, his size right in the front of that rim, just too much tonight.
Samuel made the first 3 free throws he attempted tonight. He has not made another one since. A 38% free throw shooter. And he goes 1 for 2.
And TCU is going to have to foul.
And Samuel out.
TCU going to have to foul here at some point. You can pick up, you can force Oklahoma State to have to handle, but at some point, you're going to have to lay a foul here.
You hear someone calling for a timeout, and the timeout is called.
It was a good trap. You get him to catch it on the sideline. That's where you want him to catch it. And you got the initial trap there. You know, this is where you want them to inbound this basketball. You essentially have 3 defenders, the 2 TCU players and then the sideline, and really a nice job splitting that trap to get free of it. And then Mike Boynton, you can hear him yelling for a timeout.
So here's the reset, 26.6 left. It's a 1-point Oklahoma State lead with the ball. Both teams have 1 timeout remaining. Both teams in the double bonus. Oklahoma State did not start this game shooting free throws very well, but they've been better in the second half. Overall, 21 for 30 from the free throw line tonight. TCU is 15 for 20 from the stripe. There you see the brothers Cunningham talking things over. As if it's scripted. Struggled in the first half, but Cade Cunningham has come alive in the second half, and specifically in crunch time. 19 points all in the second 20 minutes. And they foul immediately, and Bryce Williams will go to the line.
You know, the most important player on the floor in those situations is the inbounder. And Mike Boynton puts his best free throw shooter, Cade Cunningham, as the inbounder to make sure that you're able to get it in. And as a result, Bryce Williams, good free throw shooter, not quite at Cade's level, but he ends up going to the line here.
Williams 74%, Cunningham 83%. He leads the team. Williams, a senior transfer from Ole Miss. And he misses the first one. This was the exact score when the clock hit zeros the last time these 2 teams met. That time it was TCU pulling out the win by 1. Right now it's Oklahoma State up by 1, still 25 seconds to go. And now they're up 2 with that second free throw. What do you do if you're TCU here, Chris?
This, drive it, get to the basket.
And Miles got it. Tie ball game, shot clock off. It's in the hands of Cunningham. He misses. And Todd comes away with it. Last shot time. Ledee got it. 2.2 to go.
Mike Boynton decided not to call the timeout, and Cade Cunningham shot it too quickly. I mean, you got to take the last shot here. 11 seconds in a tie game. That's not a smart play by Cade Cunningham. And Mike Boynton decided to let his team play, which is fine. But as a result, you could end up losing this game here on that bad decision. And then what a return to the other end. Again, Jamie Dixon deciding not to call a timeout. It was a scattered play. He knew he was going to have numbers, and his team executed to take a 2-point lead.
Mike Boynton wanted a charge, and it was a close call.
I like that being called a block. At this point in the game, and as a player starts to go down, I mean, that's the other thing. He starts to take that before the contact's even there. I'm okay with that being a block. That's not going to win or lose this game.
Timeout is called with 2.2 to go. TCU beat Oklahoma State back in December by 1 when they first met in Stillwater. Now they're up 2 and a chance to go up by 3 with this Jadon Ledee free throw. Well, Cade Cunningham, no stranger to crunch time scenarios. Way back on December 12th, he had a game-winning three-pointer on the road against the Wichita State Shockers. That was his welcome to college hoops moment. But then you fast forward to this past Saturday, and he put that Cowboys team on his back and took down Arkansas. 21 points, including the game-winning jump shot you just saw. But he missed the layup that would have put Oklahoma State up, and instead TCU got the rebound, got the bucket, and the foul.
Look, I'm okay with the miss. I mean, if you're the guy with the ball in your hands enough, you're going to miss some end-of-game shots. The problem is taking the shot when he did. In a tie game, you have to take the last shot. That shot has to go off as the buzzer goes off. So at the very least, we're going to overtime. And by taking it with 11 seconds left, you allow TCU to then convert. And now Oklahoma State does not have a timeout. So you assume Mike Boynton drew up a play here, make or miss on this free throw.
Ledee makes it. It's a 3-point game, and now Jamie Dixon wants to use his final timeout. Oklahoma State's going to have to go the full 94 if they want to tie this game and send it to overtime. So take us inside the huddles. First, Jamie Dixon, what do you do defensively?
Well, you put a guy on the ball, and, I'd put Kevin Samuel on the basketball to use his size and length to make it a difficult pass. Look, you know that this is going, they're going to try to run some action where, either Cade is coming off of somebody. You're going to have to try to at least throw it to half court to get a reasonable shot at it. But that's offensively. Defensively, you put somebody on the ball. You got to make sure you're telling your team not to foul. We can switch everything. Any cross action we can switch. Don't foul a shooter. Make them make a shot. And don't let anybody get behind you.
In situations like this with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, easier said than done. Both teams out of timeouts. Possession arrow to TCU, but it's going to come down to what essentially amounts to a Hail Mary. 2.2 is time. You could get the ball down the court in a couple of dribbles and get a decent shot.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Christian Laettner, Grant Hill play happened with 2 seconds. Bryce Drew, obviously. I mean, there are a ton of plays that have made full court with 2.2. This is why I like this rule, though. The NBA, you can move it to half court, and there are people who advocate for that. You got to earn that real estate. So in this particular, you got to go full court if you're going to tie this game.
Cade Cunningham at half court. Oklahoma State to inbounds. You're right, Samuel on the ball. Here's Cunningham from half court, and it's off the rim. Cade Cunningham had it in his hands just like he did the first time these two teams met, and for the second time this season, Cade Cunningham can't save it for the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Look, in an ideal world, you'd love him to catch that a little bit, maybe around the T in TCU. But with 2.2, that's not a bad look. And he almost banked it in.
Cade Cunningham with 19 in the second half, but it wasn't enough. TCU hangs on for the 3-point win, 81-78. They improved to 10-7 on the year and 3-5 in Big 12 play. Oklahoma State drops to 11-5 and 4-5 in the Big 12.